Who would you trust with your life savings, a Wall Street expert or a chimpanzee? In 1999, a chimpanzee named Raven threw 10 darts at a list of internet stocks. Her portfolio delivered a 213% return, beating more than 6,000 professional fund managers. So what happened here? Are we looking at a lucky monkey or clueless experts? Researcher Philip Tetlock wanted to find out. He tracked 284 experts for almost 20 years. These were top economists, political analysts, and policy advisors. Together, they made 80,000 predictions about wars, elections, and global events. His conclusions may make you uncomfortable. When predicting events 3 to 5 years ahead, the experts were barely better than random guessing. Or, in a funnier comparison, no better than a dart-throwing chimp. Interestingly enough, he also found a small group of people who consistently did better. These were not psychics or geniuses. They were just normal people who think a bit differently. He called them Superforecasters. And the way they see the world is a skill anyone can learn. Forecasting isn't just for economists or meteorologists. You actually do it every day. Every time you switch jobs, start a relationship, or buy a house, you're betting on an uncertain future. You may wonder, if even the experts are failing, what hope do we have? But the good news is that forecasting is not a gift. It's a skill, and like any skill, you can improve it. In this video, I will show how ordinary people become super forecasters, and how you can use the same tools to make better decisions. Firstly, why do confident experts fail so often?
Steve, let me ask you about the iPhone. What was your first reaction when you saw that?
$500 fully subsidized with a plan? I said, that is the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard.
An old Greek line explains it. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. What does that mean? Well, the most famous experts are hedgehogs. They rely on one big idea that explains everything. They wear cognitive tinted glasses. Everything they look at is colored by their theory. If the facts don't fit the theory, they ignore the facts. They are confident, maybe good for TV, but they make terrible forecasts. Then there are the foxes. They are eclectic. They pull ideas from many sources. They doubt, they revise, and most importantly, they change their minds when the world changes. They aren't invited into talk shows as often because they use words like perhaps or it depends. But in Tetlock's 20-year study, these self-critical foxes consistently outperformed the confident hedgehogs. Next, we have to define what good forecasting actually looks like.
Our accurate meteorologist.
Thank you.
There you go.
Is the key.
Imagine a weather forecaster says there's an 80% chance of rain tomorrow, and it doesn't rain. Did they fail? Not necessarily. A single prediction can't be judged in isolation. To judge a forecaster, you need to look at their track record over time. When someone says 70% 10 times, the event should happen exactly 7 times. This is called calibration. If we plot confidence against reality and you get a diagonal line, the truth line, that is perfect calibration. Confidence matches the world, but most of us miss that line badly. We fall into overconfidence. This curve sits below the diagonal line. We say I'm 90% sure about things that only happen 60% of the time. We crave certainty. We hate saying maybe, but certainty is an illusion. Underconfidence is the opposite. The curve sits above the line. You play it too safe. You say I'm 20% sure about things that actually happen 50% of the time. But most people are not like this. Research shows that most people are rather overconfident. For example, in one study, 94% of college professors rated themselves as above average teachers. That is mathematically impossible, so we feel more certain than the evidence justifies. The first habit of super forecasters is getting comfortable with uncertainty. Simple, but a bit difficult to do at first. They don't think in yes or no, they think in percentages. This matters because that small shift keeps the mind open. If you believe that something is 100% true, you stop looking for new evidence. If you admit you're only 70% sure, you remain ready to update your beliefs when new evidence comes in. So, how do we actually move our predictions closer to the truth line? We use a tool called Bayesian updating. It sounds complex, but it's actually simple. Your new belief should depend on two things. Your prior belief, everything you knew before, multiplied by the diagnostic value of the new information. In simpler terms, start with a base rate, then adjust as new information comes in. Most people treat beliefs like on-off switches. Superforecasters treat beliefs like dimmer switches. Let's test your intuition. Meet Tom. He likes to read, he is shy, and he loves order and structure. Is Tom more likely to be a librarian or a farmer? Think about it for a second. Most people instantly say librarian. It fits the profile, right? If you also said librarian, you fell into a common trap. You focused on the story, Tom's personality, and ignored the base rate, the reality of the numbers. Think about it. There are vastly more farmers than librarians. Let's say 10 times as many. Even if 75% of librarians fit this profile and only 15% of farmers do, the farmer's pool is so massive that Tom is actually twice as likely to be a farmer. This is a mistake we make every day. We get seduced by a good story and ignore the general reality. Superforecasters do the opposite of what feels natural. They use what's called the outside view. If you ask them, will the Johnson family get a pet? They don't look at family photos first. They ask, what percentages of American households own pets? They start with the base rates, and only then do they adjust their guess based on the specific details of the Johnsons. But what do you do when you face a question that seems impossible to answer? Imagine I ask you, what percentage of Earth's land is covered by forest? You probably have no idea, which is completely normal. Superforecasters use a technique called Fermi estimation. It is named after Enrico Fermi, the physicist who helped design the first nuclear reactor and was famous for estimating complex numbers with almost no data. His secret was simple. He didn't try to guess the answer. He broke the big mystery into smaller pieces that were easier to estimate. Let's solve the forest question using this method. We don't know the answer, but we do know the pieces. Earth is not just soil. Huge parts are deserts and massive ice sheets. Trees cannot grow in the Arctic, the Sahara, or the Gobi. Let's guess those take about 1/3 of all land. Next, humans need space. Cities, roads, and most importantly farms to feed 8 billion people. Let's guess that takes another 1/3 of the land. If 33% is ice and deserts, and 33% is cities and farms, that leaves roughly 34% of land that could be forest. So, how did our blind guess do? The actual percentage of Earth's land covered by forest is 31%. We were off by 3%. The trick is this. Even if each estimate is a bit wrong, some errors go up and some go down. They often cancel out, leaving you with a surprisingly accurate result. This is not just guessing, more like disciplined uncertainty. The best forecasters in the world aren't necessarily geniuses. They score only slightly above average on intelligence, but they are intellectually humble. They treat belief as temporary hypotheses to be tested, not personal identities. They learn, update, and eventually get better. That's the real superpower. We can't predict the future with certainty. The world is too complex, but we don't need certainty to be right all the time. We just need to be less wrong more often. I've linked a calibration test in the description so you can check your own forecasting skills. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey with Janus Talks, hit subscribe for more insights into the hidden nature of the world.